Today, I wanted to talk about managing frustration. So, I actually had this come up from someone that I mentor, and they were asking for some input and some feedback on trying to get better at informally leading projects. So, in their position, they're not like a manager, but they're trying to do some more technical leadership and project management in their role. And they were curious about managing frustration. And just to kind of drop an example here, say that you're working with some people and you are trying to navigate how to make progress on a project, and you have certain individuals on the project that don't seem to either be aligning. They could be having challenges with some of the goal states and the dates that you're trying to meet or the expectations of the project. And this individual was asking, like, how do I try to get better at managing frustration when I'm working through projects like this? And I thought this was a really good reflection from this individual because, in my opinion, it's a normal thing that you'll find either at work or just in life where you get frustrated with things. And I think that being able to identify that you are getting frustrated is a really good thing, because if you're not aware of it, then being able to manage it is basically impossible. So, first of all, I wanted to share with this individual that I thought that it was good that they could identify that. And then from that point, how do you start to make improvements and work on managing that? So the first thing I told them, as I said, was good that you can identify it. And the other part that I wanted to mention to them as someone who's a little bit newer to some informal leadership opportunities is that you're going to find that as you have more and more of these experiences, that it's essentially impossible to please everyone all the time. So that does not mean that because you can't please everyone all the time that you should ignore people. But what I tried to share with this person is that you could be doing your best effort, you could be trying to improve, and you could legitimately be improving on your leadership capabilities. But you will always find that there's going to be someone who's not totally on board, not pleased, not happy with the situation. And I wanted to let this person know that you should not take that personally. So don't let one person kind of hold you back from feeling like you're making progress or doing a good job. Instead, when you have situations like this, in my opinion, it's a good opportunity to kind of stand back from the situation, right? Look at what's going on. Try to understand why this person's getting frustrated or not totally on board, and then try to see if you're able to make, micro optimizations. And I say that because in this particular situation, this person was already doing what I would consider is, a good deal of effort to try and make sure that everyone's on the same page. Everyone's kind of got the latest status updates, doing a good job communicating, but what else, right? What else could they be doing? How much more can they be over communicating? And I just said to them, I think it's an opportunity for you to kind of reflect, understand why this other individual is frustrated, and try to see if there's little things you can do. But that does not mean that because one person is getting, they're having challenges, they're frustrated, anything like that, that all of your work is not, not warranted, not valued, and that you're doing a bad job because, say, one person is kind of having some challenges. So this feedback, I think, for that person was really helpful, that, it's helping them understand that they are on the right track of trying to make progress. But something else that I wanted to kind of touch on is like in the moment frustration, right? So it's one thing if you're finding over time that you're kind of maybe building up a little bit of frustration with getting folks on board. But I said that in the moment can be a bit of a dangerous thing, right? So if you're having conversations with people, if we're working remotely, if say it's a video call, voice call, whatever, but in person too, this can absolutely happen. You want to be able to make sure that you can manage your emotions. And I feel like I'm hopeful that for most people, especially watching this video, if you're younger, earlier in career, I'm very hopeful that you've not experienced or you've had very limited experiences with people in meetings, kind of losing their temper and stuff like that. It's one thing to have heated discussions, being passionate about your perspective and disagreeing. Like, I think that's all very good. You should be doing that. But it's different when people start to lose their temper, and then from that point on, essentially the conversation's not productive. So hopefully people have limited experience with that, because quite frankly, even in my career, it's been quite limited where I've seen that. But the best way I can describe it is that it feels embarrassing to watch. It feels really bad to see people lose their temper. Even I've seen or heard of people in, positions of that I would have a lot of respect for them, and to sort of, in my opinion, you kind of lose it all when you start to lose your temper. So my feedback to this individual was like, when you're in a position, say you're on a call or whatever, and you find that you're getting a little bit frustrated, like, try as best as possible to, I guess the phrase is like, be the bigger person. Like, you want to kind of pause, make sure you're taking a deep breath. You don't want to be acting out of emotion, and try to seek to understand, right? So if you notice that you're getting frustrated and someone else is getting frustrated, instead of having this escalation process where, you keep getting louder, talking at each other, and I said at each other, not with each other, because you're probably not hearing anything the other person's saying. Instead of having this escalation process, if you're able to try and control your feelings, if you want to take this opportunity to actually understand where this other person is coming from, make sure that they feel heard. Right? That does not mean that you need to make sure that you are doing everything they say, that they're getting their way, and you're just kind of giving up on things you might be debating about or discussing. It's not what I'm suggesting, but I am suggesting that you make an effort to try and make sure that this person's perspective is heard. And I think that can go a really long way with helping de-escalate things, because I think sometimes people get very frustrated because they feel like they're not heard. And that's why they often end up repeating themselves. They get louder, right? They're just trying to, like, someone hear me, someone acknowledge me. So I think that was my number one tip for them in the moment for managing frustration. And really, it wasn't so much of a tip of, here's how you get less frustrated, but it was more of like, here's how you can de-escalate things and stop this feedback loop where you might be getting frustrated from the responses. And then the other part that I mentioned at the beginning of this video was really about this sort of, call it like offline, like frustration building. And they're similar, right? You want to take an opportunity to step back, kind of press pause for yourself, and try to understand why other people are having challenges. And I think those two things together were my focus that I wanted to touch on today about managing frustration. And, just a reminder for folks that it's normal. You're not going to go through life or your career without getting frustrated by things, but it's all about how you deal with it. And I think that there's a lot of things that you can do to kind of channel that frustration, which involves basically stepping back, doing a bit of analysis, being honest with yourself, and trying to seek to understand where other people are having some challenges. So that was just a quick one for today on different ways that you can kind of look at managing frustration. So hopefully you found that helpful, and we'll see you next time.